While we're waiting for her to jump on, I can just give a few shout outs. Jess says no difference. Okay, first, it used to be so much better in one, or two, whatever one it was. But like I said, they went through the wash, and it's just a big pain in the butt to connect your AirPods and go from like one thing to the other. So anyway, I'm excited for tonight. Tonight is an exciting call. It's at 7:30. Yes, 7:30. She thought it was at 8. See, look, it's just one of those days. We're having a good day over here because I got a little break, and also Pudge is running around and barking, which if any of you guys know what's going on with him, his treatments are kind of making him a little bit less himself. So today he's acting a little more like himself. Rob took the kids outside. I did a funny TikTok with a chicken mask. Like the first half of the day was hard, but the second half is looking up. I'm really excited to have Abby speak tonight, and I'll introduce her in a few minutes. She just needs a second to jump on. But I'm excited because I feel like this topic that she's coming in and talking about is one that is like couldn't be at a better time. Because how many of you set New Year's resolutions? How many of you set 2020 goals and then 2020 came and ripped the rug out from under all of us, right? But we still have control. We still have control of our mindset and our output, right? We still have control over some things, and that's really what we need to focus on. Hi, Tabs. That's really what we need to focus on. But I think that no matter what the year, we always get to about June or July, and we either realize, oh shoot, I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, I better hustle, and we start feeling behind, which causes overwhelm, and it doesn't give us our best productivity. Or maybe we're really rocking it, and we can like feel like we're doing really well, and some people then take their foot off the pedal. Right? It's kind of like Success Club. If you're almost there, you're kind of not really hustling in the middle of the month because you're like, I only need one more challenge pack. I might get it in the last 2 weeks of the month or whatever. It depends like if you're hit where you are in your goals. So June and July, I think, are like, I like to kind of treat them as the beginning of the year again. Because there's nothing like the excitement of the beginning of the year, the beginning of a program, the beginning of something new in your life, the beginning of a new book. There's nothing like it. And 12 months is a really long time. Like our journey is going to go up and down so many times in that time that we have to remember to celebrate. And sometimes when you look at such a long stretch, that celebrating becomes a little harder and harder. And we can get to this time and just start feeling exhausted. So I want to challenge all of you to go ahead and just start thinking. I'm just going to make sure everyone's muted real quick, of this as the new year. As the new year. Start thinking of this as a fresh slate, a fresh start to 2020. Resetting those goals, asking yourself, the goals that I set in the beginning of the year, is what I've done and who I've showed up as, what I said I wanted. I think there's a huge difference between giving yourself grace and then being a little bit lenient with your excuses. And that's really fine line, right? And so sometimes we just need to be like really straight with ourselves and really ask ourselves where we are. So I know today I have like a diamond push thread, and today I asked how everyone was doing, and just a few people, and I am not going to call your names out, but I'm also going to tell you that I am with you. So I am not relating to you. I'm relating to you 100%. But I asked how they were doing, and it was kind of like, oh, I'm good. I'm just not putting too much pressure, and I'm just kind of, leaning into it and giving myself grace, and that's all good. But sometimes we need to remember that when we tell ourselves that we want something, we have to continue to show up in some way, shape, or form every week, every day towards that goal. Because the only thing that's going to happen if we let go of that and we give ourselves too much grace for too long, and I'm not saying put pressure. I mean, you guys know me. I will never tell you to put pressure on yourself like that. But if we let ourselves slip and give ourselves that grace for too long, then we get stuck staying there. And I only know this because I've done it multiple times. So I just wanted to challenge you guys today to kind of think of what you set in the beginning of the year. Are your actions taking you there right now? And if they're not, what's one thing that you can focus on the rest of this month or next month, that, and in focusing on that will take you closer to your goal, right? I don't want you to run yourself into the ground, because I've done that many times. Sometimes it has to happen though. But I don't want you to do that. But I just kind of want you to be real with yourself. So I think you guys are all doing great. But my whole point is that I think the middle of the year is a great time to reset your goals, evaluate where you're at. And Abby's topic for tonight is perfect. And her topic she is talking about is the gift of failure, which until I started coaching, I never looked at failing as a gift. In fact, with how insecure and like where I was in my mindset before coaching, failure made me feel very insecure and like a failure. I didn't want to try if I knew there was a chance I was going to fail. If I wasn't 100% certain that I was going to do well, then I wasn't going to do it at all. And I think we can relate to that in some places. So it's such a great topic tonight to hear about the gift of failure, when we can kind of refresh our brains, know, first of all, also evaluate how have your groups been going? You've maybe changed them in the beginning of this year. How are those going? Is there something that maybe you need to not be married to and change to maybe be able to support your clients better, connect to your team better? You know, it's just a great time to reflect and lean into failure, lean into all of that. And yeah, run. I just saw Abby pop on. Hi, Abby. I am so sorry. I should have reminded you it was 7:30. I'll unmute you there. Where are you? Oh, I guess it won't let me unmute you.
Yes. Well, my team call is always at 8 o'clock on Monday. So I think in my mind, it was at 8, and Paul and I went for a walk as dinner's in the oven, and I'm like taking my time, and then I get back, I left my phone at home, and I'm like, ah. So.
Well, it's fine. I was a minute late because I was doing a TikTok with a chicken mask. So it's fine. You know, your excuse is a lot better than mine. But yeah, so I was just saying, Abby, how I think that your topic for tonight is absolutely perfect for this time of year, because mid-year, I think it's a great time to reevaluate and reset your goals. Almost like it's a new start. It's a new year. I think Megan, one of her favorite books is The 12-Week Year. Yes, she actually put that in the chat. It's just a great way to reevaluate things over and over again and keep you on track. So failure to a lot of us, I think in human nature, no one wants to fail. And that to hear a topic called the gift of failure, I just think it couldn't come at a more perfect time. So you guys, Abby's done a call with us before. She's with me on the Market Council for Chicago. I'm sure that you guys know her, but just so you know a little bit about her, she is a wife and a mom of 2. She has a boy and a girl, and her little boy is like taller than you now or something, like so, and built. And I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this little kid? Because he's not little anymore. And then you have a puppy dog, right?
Mm-hmm,
you have a dog. Yes. And she is an elite coach, and she is I'm not sure about Success Club or any of that, but she is someone who is driven by faith and heart more than probably any of the coaches that I know. So I just love hearing from her, because everything you hear is coming from such an authentic place. And so, Abby, I would love to turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay. And thanks for having me. This is actually one of my favorite things to do in regards to coaching. And me 10 years ago, so I started coaching in 2010, like never ever would have thought that I actually would enjoy speaking to a group of people, because I was such an introvert. I was so shy. I was so like insecure and all of the things. But it just goes to show you that this business does so much more for us than getting fit, getting healthy, and making an income. It really does change who we are from the inside out. And I heard Lindsay mention about how, like, you know, before she got in this business, about failure, and failure, something, right? All of us avoid. I always avoided failure. It's something that is so uncomfortable. But I've been in this journey for a while about learning a little bit more about failure and what it is, and its, you know, it's something I actually talk to my kids about all of the time. And it all started with many years ago. I want to say like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, I read the book Failing Forward by John Maxwell. So those of you who like love personal development books, if you've never read that book, I highly recommend Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And that's like kind of what put that whole like, where all of this kind of started with me. And instead of always looking at everything that I do in our mind, right, we think we're doing things wrong, looking at it more as lessons and lessons learned, and knowing that every time we're failing, we're actually learning something. And then recently I've been listening to, I don't know if any of you guys listen to Bob Heilig, Your Virtual Upline. He has an amazing podcast. And he's been talking about that a lot lately. And so those are like kind of like my two things. And for those of you who like, honestly, every single one of you should be doing personal and business development. But that's where I kind of want to lead you guys to for after the call. I'm learning a little bit more about this. But I'm like I said, I'm afraid to fail. It's not like I've gotten better at it and now it's like, woohoo, like I want to fail. I've always been afraid to fail. I overthink everything. I want things to be perfect. Can anyone relate to any of this? I replay scenarios of conversations in my head, like over and over. Has anyone ever like, you can't sleep at night because you're like remembering some conversation you had, whether it was with your sister or your best friend or even a stranger, or maybe it's just a message you had back and forth with a potential coach or a potential client, and you're like, how did that go so wrong? Or whatever it may be, right? I pick apart all of my flaws, like every single one over and over. And I seriously think that I'm so much in my head all of the time. But here's the thing. Why, I saw a lot of you guys raise your hand. Why we're like that is because we're afraid to fail. We're afraid of saying the wrong thing. We're afraid of doing the wrong thing. We're afraid of looking the wrong way or whatever it may be. And what I've learned is that failure is based in fear. It really is. It's based in fear. And fear is just imagining a negative outcome for an action you haven't even taken yet. And I'm going to repeat that to you guys. And if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down because this was profound for me. Fear is just imagining a negative outcome for an action you haven't even taken yet. So how I'm going to pull this into business. How many of you struggle with inviting? So you have your list of 100, or let's even just like take that down to your list of 10, right? Like the rock stars that you want on your team. And you really, really want to message Susie because you know she would be amazing at it. But in your mind, you think that she's going to tell you no, or say there's someone else and you're like, well, she does CrossFit. So, and it's like, you're already justifying and like making an excuse for her and making a reason for why she's going to say no, but it's just imagining a negative outcome for an action you haven't even taken. Or how many of you have had like these amazing ideas of things that you want to post on social media, but fear holds you back from typing out that post and hitting post? Because you're afraid of being judged, you're afraid of being whatever it may be. When I first started this, my cousins used to make fun of me openly about things that I would post on social media. And one thing that I had to learn was I didn't want their life. And I'm going to share that with you guys. Like, the people who are judging you, it's usually something insecure inside of themselves. And you have to have such like a core belief in this business and grow in that security of who you are and know your self-worth and that you're worthy of any and all success that you want in this business. So not caring about what other people think. And here's the thing, everyone is so busy and focused on themselves, all those things that we all raised our hands for, of overthinking things and wanting to be perfect and overplaying scenarios in our head. Well, we think we're the only one, but everybody's like that. So post the post. Ask, invite, send the messages out, and imagine that the positive outcome is what's actually going to happen. So how to flip the script on all of that is just, so there's a story in your head that you're telling yourself, right? This negative story of a negative outcome if you send the message or you post the post. And it's just flipping that script and saying to yourself, I'm going to imagine a positive outcome is going to come out of that. And I know it sounds kind of silly and like, well, it can't be that easy. Well, no, it's not going to be that easy the first time, but the more that you do it and the more that you talk, you recognize the negative thoughts creeping in and you replace them with the positive ones, the more you're going to recognize it and the better you're going to get at seeing it for what it is and then taking action and not allowing fear to hold you back. So how many of you guys were taught at a young age that failure was a bad thing? I know that my kids were little. It's like you wanna cover them, and it's like our parents didn't mean to, right? And if you're a parent and you're doing this to your kids, like you don't mean to. It's like you want to protect them and you want to keep them from getting hurt and you want to keep them from getting their feelings and their emotions and all of the things, right? But so then we're growing up and we have this like underlying thing that we don't even realize that was kind of instilled in us as kids, right? Like to avoid failure. But failure is unavoidable. It is completely unavoidable. And I know that's kind of like, well, duh, but do you really truly know that failure is unavoidable? If you truly knew that failure was unavoidable, you would stop trying to avoid it and you would just dive into it, knowing that success is right past it. So it's all in how we view it. If we change our current thinking and we learn lessons from each failure instead of avoiding it and really trying to look for the lesson in it, because there is always a lesson in anything that we're failing at. And remembering that we need to fail our way to success, because success is built on a mountain of failures, and people who get stuck get buried in their failures. I want you guys to hear that. If you're feeling stuck in your business right now, it's because whether you've had one failure or 3 failures or 20 failures, I've had like hundreds of failures in this business. If you're feeling stuck right now, it's because you're allowing those failures to bury you. Step into the failures, because success is always built on a mountain of failures. Learn from those failures and don't let them define you. And so I think what so often happens is somebody tells us no and we take it to heart so much, right? Like, I've done that. Have you done that? Like where someone tells you no, or someone kind of says something snarky back, or maybe someone puts like some sarcastic thing under a comment, or maybe someone just like totally ghosts you, right? And so we connect our worth to it, but your worth has nothing to do at all with your failures. We need to like completely separate the two, because it doesn't define you. And knowing that each interaction you have with people is either it's going to get you results or teach you a lesson. Every interaction you have, every message you send out, every post that you do, it's either going to get you results or it's going to teach you a lesson. And the yeses that you get from people, that's what builds your business. But the no's that you get, that's what builds you. That's what builds your character. That's what makes you into the person that you're meant to be. And if you're not where you want to be, I want you to really hear this, because I sometimes feel like this can come across like kind of rude. But if you're not where you want to be, you haven't failed enough yet to become the person you need to be to deserve the success that you're seeking. I'm going to say that again. If you're not where you want to be, you haven't failed enough yet to become the person you need to be to deserve the success that you're seeking. So really focusing on failing more, taking more action. And one thing I had learned from Bob Heilig is something he had said. I heard it a few months ago and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like gold right here. Like I needed to hear this. Is that this is a character building business with a compensation plan attached. Network marketing is a character building business with a compensation plan attached. And remembering that everything that you're going through is molding and defining and growing you into the person that you're meant to be. And taking those no's and knowing like, okay, I'm getting no's, but that's okay because I'm getting that much closer to a yes. And these no's are getting me ready to be the person that I need to be to coach the clients that are going to come on and to lead the team that I'm going to build. If you don't have a team yet, it's because you haven't grown into the person that you need to be to deserve that team. Guys, it took me, if you know my story, it took me 4 years sitting at Emerald, 4 years to go Diamond. And it was because I had a lot of character building that needed to be done inside of me. When I started this business, I definitely had an attitude of like, I don't need no self-help book. I'm good. I was unteachable. I was arrogant. And all of that was hidden behind insecurity. I was just so insecure as a woman. And it wasn't until like I dove into the personal development, which I did actually right away, because I found Chalene Johnson. And if you follow Chalene, like I just love her. Like she had Car Smarts back in the day. And 10 years ago, I used to listen to her like CDs as I drove to and from work, and just like her words spoken over me over and over and over again slowly changed my thinking. She was speaking truths and speaking things that I needed to hear. So what are the truths and what are the things that you really need to hear? So I want to ask you, how do you react when things aren't going your way? Do you get mad? Do you pout? Do you shut down? Do you quit? Do you give up? Do you blame others? So whether it's an argument with your spouse and things aren't going your way, whether it's like a mean coworker and things aren't going your way, whether it's your sister who's just pissing you off. I can say this because I have 5 sisters who's like pissing you off for the umpteenth time. How do you react and how do you respond? Do you pout? Do you get mad? What is it that you do? So why is it that we think that when we get a no in this business that we're not going to do one of those things? How many of you guys have gotten a no, gotten someone who's ghosted you, or gotten a no from someone who you're like, this would be so perfect for her. I can't believe she told me no. And you shut down. You stop messaging. All of a sudden it's been 2 weeks and you're like, I haven't sent out one invite. And if you really stop and analyze it, it's because somebody told you no. And so it's allowing our character to be built to where not only when someone tells you no or ghosts you, but also in those sister, coworker, spouse, all those other situations, we don't pout, we don't get mad, we don't shut down, we don't blame other people. We allow our character to be refined and molded, because I don't know about you, I got one life to live, just one. And I want to live it the best way that I can. I want to be an exceptional wife. I want to be an exceptional mom. I want to be an exceptional coach. I want to be an exceptional leader. I don't want to coast through life. I don't want to blame other people when things don't go my way. I don't want to quit. I don't want to shut down. Guys, and here's the thing. I struggle with this. I know it sounds like, oh, I struggle with this. God placed it on my heart years ago to start a website and to start blogging. And I have been ignoring it for the longest time because I am so stinking afraid of failing at it. I'm afraid that I'm not going to keep up with blogging. I'm afraid that people are going to judge me. I'm afraid that the website's going to be stupid. Like all of these things. And God kept placing it in my path, like over and over and over and over and over again. And I finally just launched a website and I'm still scared shitless. Like seriously. Because I told everybody that I'm blogging every Monday and today's week 2, and I do not have a new blog post up. Like seriously, I am afraid, I'm going to do that after. I am afraid of failing and I procrastinate. And if you've read that, has anyone read the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins? Please tell me you have. So good. And it's like, why do I procrastinate? I procrastinate like based out of fear of like, and it's just like this stupid, vicious cycle that she explains it so very well. So if you read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to go read or listen to it. She explains it so very well, but it's like, I procrastinate my way through life, but it's because I'm so afraid. I have so much fear. But all I've done, the only difference, the only way I've achieved the things that I've achieved in this business is because I never gave up. How many of you guys are like a year or 2 years in and you're frustrated because you're just still emerald? What if I gave up when I was a year or 2 or 3 years in, 4 years in, and still stuck, still sitting at events all by myself, like feeling just like I was such a failure? I remember going to one of Christina's coach camps in 2013. It was in the summer, and I remember showing up late because my husband got off work late. And that was almost like one of my defining moments, because I was like 3.5 years into the business. And I remember sitting there, and my upline, Shauna, she's amazing, but she had just had a baby. She was there, but she was like up in the hotel room nursing, and then she was down, and like I was sitting there all by myself. And I remember feeling so mad at myself that like I'm looking around and I see people who got into the business after me. And I was just sitting there like, why not me? Why them and why not me? And I also spent so much time in those first 3.5 years like blaming everybody else. I can remember having a conversation with Kristen, who's another one of Shauna's diamonds, and being like, what are they not telling us? There is something that they're not telling us. Like, all these coaches are successful and I can't figure it out. So there's like some secret thing that they're not telling us of how they're going diamond and star diamond and like making these 6-figure incomes and all of that. Here's the thing. I was just being unteachable. But how many of you guys have had those thoughts? Because as I talk to more people, so many people have those thoughts of like, what's the secret sauce? Like, they're just not telling me. The secret sauce is work. The secret sauce is take action. And work on yourself more than you work on anything else. If you know that you struggle with some of these mindsets and you're doing 20 minutes or 10 pages of personal development a day, you're not doing enough. I did like 2 hours. I had an hour commute each way. I listened to it both ways. I also would listen when I was like doing laundry and different things. Like, if you feel that your mindset is stuck the way mine used to be, you have to immerse yourself in personal development. It's not just listening to a book once or listening to an idea once. It's hearing it over and over and over again until those words start coming out of your mouth when you're talking to other people. So just remembering that failure is an opportunity for you to learn and for you to grow. And for so many of us, because I'm assuming a lot, because Lindsay's had a team for quite a while. Like, I'm assuming a lot of you guys have been in the business for a hot minute. I'm sure there's some new coaches on here. But if you've been in the business, I would say 4 months or longer. Who's been in the business 4 months or longer? It's not a knowledge problem. It's not a knowledge problem. So many of us think, how many of you guys are like, I just need to read that next book. I'm going to sign up for this webinar. So-and-so just told me about this podcast. I'm going to start listening to that. I need to do a hashtag training. I need to revamp my whole entire Instagram. I need to like color coordinate everything. And then maybe I'll start. It's not another book. It's not another training. You know what to do. It's not an action. I'm sorry, it's not a knowledge problem. It's an action problem. That's where I was going with that. I said that backwards. It's not a knowledge problem. It's an action problem. We need to implement faster and fail more. Write that down. Implement faster, fail more. Because either you're choosing the immediate comfort of today or you're reaching your full potential. And I don't know about you. Like I said, I have one life. Hate to break it to you. Each of you just have one life. So are you choosing the comfort of today? Don't want to send out the message, don't want to do the action hour, don't want to do the things? Or are you reaching your full potential? So we need to implement faster and we need to fail more. Take action and stop reading. I mean, here's the thing, because you just heard me say you need to do your personal development, but it's not another book. You just have to start taking action. So I hope everyone has pen and paper, because we are going to, I want you just to take, I'll give you guys like 3 minutes or so. And I want you to journal out for a minute. What does failure mean to you? Not what you think it should mean to you. If you're just honest with yourself, what does failure mean to you? And what do no's represent to your business and your life? So those two things. What does failure mean to you? And what do the no's that you get represent to your business and to your life? I'll give you guys a few minutes. I'll type it in, but it was, what do no's represent to your business and to your life? I'll give you guys like another 30 seconds to kind of wrap up your thoughts. All right, so I'm hoping you guys wrote down at least like something slightly positive when you were writing down like what failure means to you and what no's represent. But I'm assuming, just because I'm assuming you're like me and we're all alike in some way, shape, or form, that there was some negativity there, right? Like some negative thoughts, some negative thinking, and all of that. And what you need to ask yourself is, whatever that mindset is that you have in regards to hearing no's in your business, or failing, is you need to ask yourself, is that mindset going to serve you in reaching your goals? So I'm like a big believer in knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and recognizing something takes away the power that that has over us. So it takes away like that negativity, that power of that negativity, and it allows us to start taking steps and taking action to making a change. Because if we don't even recognize that we have an issue with failing, if we don't even recognize that we shut down or we blame others or we give up or we quit when we're told no's, if we're not even recognizing it, how are we ever going to change it, right? How are we ever going to get better? So it starts with recognizing it. That's why I wanted you guys to journal. And if you didn't, I encourage you to do it afterwards, or if you didn't get a chance to finish. But like, I love journaling. I think there's so much power in getting our thoughts out onto paper. But really focusing on taking any of those negative thoughts, that negative mindset, and working at, one, talking to your upline coach about it, talking to your diamond or star diamond coach about these thoughts and these feelings that you're having. Because so often we think we're the only one We think we're the only one. And so we don't talk about it. And then we start to shy away and we start to take steps back. And then we don't show up to team calls. And then we stop messaging people. And then before we know it, we're quitting on not just the business, we're quitting on ourselves, because we think we're the only ones that's afraid of failing, or the only one that's being told a bunch of no's, or whatever it may be. But you're never going to get better at this without failing at it. It's just the way it is. And we come into this business, everyone comes into this business with different skill sets based off of past experiences. I came into this business with, like, I feel like no skill sets for network marketing, like, at all. I had to learn all of the skill sets for network marketing. Anybody else feel that way? So give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself. And for the love of God, stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Just stop. Live your best life. Focus on your strengths. Stop comparing yourself to the person next to you or whoever you see scrolling when you're scrolling social media. Unfollow or just mute those people if they make you feel insecure about yourself in your business, if you're following other coaches. Show up every day and be the best version of you, not of somebody else, because this is your life that you're living. And I really want to be like, you just have to do this one thing and everything, like, you will achieve all of your goals in the business. And there really is nothing magical about it. Just be persistently consistent. That's it. Choose to never give up. Whether it takes you 4 months to reach the big goal that's on your board right now, or 4 years, choose to never give up. Because this business completely changes you and changes your life from the inside out. And I couldn't imagine my life without this business. And the amazing women like Lindsay, and I see Tabitha on here, and that have been brought into my life from this. But you don't experience those benefits. You don't get to live that life that you see these other coaches living unless you stick it out and you put in the work and you become the person deserving of the success that you're seeking. So that's all I got for you.
Whoa. I was over here, and forgive me, normally I sit and just focus, but I was focusing and I was putting some dishes away because we had a huge mound. But you, Abby, are so on fire today with truth bombs that are huge, and tough truths for people to hear, but in the most, what did I tell you guys before? In the most loving way that they could be delivered. Does anyone have any questions for her? I just feel like this was so good, even for me to hear at any point. And it's always good to have that belief breathed back into you in those reminders. And I just want to say, as you guys are, if someone's going to have a question here, I just want to say that on top of what Abby just said about being persistently consistent, like, if I look at 7 years and what the magic was for me, that's exactly, it's being persistently consistent and taking action no matter what was going on in my life. But it doesn't mean taking action in the same amount. In the times that that Oliver tried to put me in the ground and cried for hours for 8 months, right? Like, I was persistently consistent, but with what I could handle and with what mattered, the income producing activities, the things that could push me forward, the truth that I could share, the value that I could add at a level that I could handle it, but was still pushing me forward, And I think that another thing, and Abby and Tabitha, I think can agree with me on this, is that when you are a coach, so often in this business, we have such a great community of people that I think something that we often do, we don't take action, like Abby was saying, often because we are so helpful, we almost wait for our coach to show us what to do, wait for our coach to tell us how to find that, wait for our coach to whatever. And I just have to give a major shout out right now to Michelle, who is a brand new coach as of today, who I told her there was a team call and I said, let me know if you can get on and I'll shoot you the Zoom. She never said anything. She found the team. She went in the team page. She found the Zoom and she's on. That's resourceful. That's taking action. That's taking personal responsibility for your action in the business and just to show up. And so, Michelle, I just want to say welcome to the team and good job on being resourceful and finding that. But so if anyone has any questions, I'm going to mute my end. I have a child that's crying and a dog that's barking. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead and unmute. Or you can see if there's any in the chat too.
I'm typing in the personal development.
I typed in the chat, but I can just say it. So for me, no's don't really, like, I don't take them personally. Like I've been doing this long enough where I've kind of gotten over the, like, they're saying no to me rather than like, you know, like I know now that it's just like a no for now, or maybe not ever, but that where I get to is like, you know, like the time I invest and the energy I invest, I feel like it's a huge energy suck. And so, you know, I feel like I've spent a lot of time pouring and investing into, you know, relationships and really educating, et cetera, for something that might never happen. And it feels good in the moment, like while I'm pouring, while I'm doing all this stuff. But then when the no comes around, which is often not a very dignified no, like they ghost you or something, it's a real big letdown. And so it feels very energy sucking. And that's usually where I feel like then after that happens several times, that's when I stop doing the stuff. That's when I stop getting consistent. So I was wondering, do you ever experience that? And like, how do you flip that and kind of turn that into, you know, momentum producing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, I think it's just focusing on that next person that I could help, and not really allowing that to, because I think sometimes, I mean, and maybe you're not feeling this way, but I think sometimes even using the word like that energy, it's like we're almost connecting our self-worth to it, you know, and whether we want to admit that or not. Like, so then we almost kind of want to just take a step back because we're just like, well, obviously I poured all of this energy into someone and they're not even interested. And then why am I even wasting my time? What am I even doing? We start having all of those thoughts and we start spiraling. And I think what I just do is like, let yourself feel the feels, right? Because if you ignore it, I don't think that's healthy. Let yourself feel the feels and then just the next day pick up and move right back on. And I mean, I want to be like, here's some magical thing, but it's unfortunate. We get a lot of no's in this business. We get a lot more no's than we do yeses. And so it's like figuring out for each person individually, like how we're going to take that emotional kind of piece out of it and continue to move forward in a healthy way. And for me, it's just like pouring back into, you know, I'm sure you have your people, right? You have your lifers, you have your tribe, right? Who like love you and whatever. And it's like focusing on that, because I'm sure there's more of them than like the ones who are ghosting you or telling you no or whatever it may be. And I think it's just like having that conversation with ourselves on a regular basis of, this business is a business of a lot of no's. And I know it doesn't feel good, but once we can kind of just accept that reality, then I don't think it like hurts so much or feels like it sucks so much of our energy. And then just continuing to put yourself out there, because I firmly believe no's, just being in this 10 years, are almost always not right nows. I would want to say maybe 90% of the time are not right nows. And they always come back around. So you're really not wasting your time. And all of that is just like little deposits that you've put into helping them. So I don't know if that helped.
It did. No, it really, really did. I think I don't take it personally, but I definitely do get emotionally attached because like you're supposed to lead with passion and excitement, and that's an emotional experience, So I definitely, that's a good point. Thank you.
I have something to say about that. I used to feel that way about 5 years ago when my focus was I have to hit Success Club because it's what I'm supposed to do, not because I'm emotionally connected to it. I have to get to Diamond because it's what I'm supposed to do, not because I'm emotionally connected to it. When I need someone to say yes because it's what needs to happen for me to move forward, it feels defeating and it feels energy sucking. The minute I was able to say, it doesn't matter what they say, I am genuinely, like Michelle, for instance, I've invited her to the business multiple times. I see it in her. I mean, she's on her social media. She's just a natural light. She loves fitness. It just made sense. She wasn't ready for a long time, and that was fine. To me, the no didn't bother me because I just genuinely enjoyed following her and her following me anyway. I didn't allow it to ever be something that she wasn't the person that was going to get me 2 Success Club points. She wasn't the person that was going to add to my team that month. She was the person that I genuinely just was like, oh my gosh, I just see it in you and I'm going to ask you again. And then I'm going to feel like I'm going to hide for a couple months because I don't want you to think I'm a creep. But I just see it, it wasn't, I became invested in the people. I set boundaries so I don't waste too much time talking, because no one wants to waste too much time talking, them or us. Too much small talk is too much, right? But when I became emotionally connected to my action over emotionally connected to my numbers, my energy was managed better. Does that make sense? When I allowed myself to be emotionally connected to the action I take, because that's going to get me there, over who the people were and the numbers that I saw. That is, like Tabitha can tell you, she'll message me sometimes and be like, oh my gosh, my volume, it looks a little bit down this week. And I'm like, I don't even know what mine looks like. I don't pay attention to my numbers. I pay attention to my action, and I pay attention to my people, and I pay attention to my connection. And if I'm doing all of that well, the rest of it's going to work out. You know what I mean? Because when I pay attention to all that other stuff, that's for me. And everybody's different. I'm just kind of sharing my truth because maybe it'll help someone on here. Spruha, you've probably heard this a lot though. So you're probably like, yeah, Lindsay, I know this. But I used to feel that defeat, that energy suck, and that but I am telling you this so that you know that it won't be like this for long. I have not felt the energy suck of inviting anybody to anything, or anybody telling me no, or anybody ghosting me, or anything like that in years, because I just am so focused on my personal responsibility, my action, and not them being the answer to what I need next. Does that make sense? So I know I'm just saying that because, we do want to hit Success Club, and we do want to rank up in our business, and we do want that person to be the person that joins our team. And it's a hard place to get to sometimes. But anyway, I just wanted to share. That's kind of what helps me, or what helped me, I guess. All right. Awesome. That was a good one. Taking the emotional attachment to the outcome. Yes, Tabitha, if you didn't want to hear a rant, you could have just read the one sentence Tabitha put in the chat. Taking out the emotional attachment to the outcome. Who do you want to talk, me or Tabitha? Everyone's like, Tabs. Tabitha. Rob says Tabitha. Yeah, because she doesn't yell at you for your music, your loudness.
Plus, she's only 5 words and she gets her point across.
Oh.
5, so.
All right.
Hi, Rob.
She said hi, Rob. All right. Does anyone have any other questions or anything? I'm going to mute. Nope, I'm not. He's good. Okay. No? We're good? All right, Abby, thank you so much. This was such a great call. I hope you guys are energized, and I really want you to think about everything that Abby said tonight, and also what is that, and what is your emotional attachment to for the rest of your year, and what are you growing towards? What is that vision, right? You have to have an idea of that vision that you want, otherwise you don't know where you're going. You don't have that emotional connection. So let's go ahead and do our boomerang. We have to do a boomerang. And then we will hop off. This was a good call. Thanks, Abby.
You're welcome.
All right, we're gonna have to do 2 because we have 2 pages. Are you ready? What?
Why are you yelling?
You need me? Do you want to come over and do a boomerang? You want me? Yeah. Okay, 1 second. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, there's number 1. And page number 2. Ready? So everybody do it, because then it's just easier. 1, 2, 3. All right. Awesome. Thanks you guys so much for joining and spending your Monday with us.